And so I'm going to stop talking and let him tell you more about the work that they've been doing, especially with regards to response to the pandemic. Luis?
Yeah, thank you, Danielle, and thank you also, Eddie, for making the contact. So I need to share my screen. Can I do? Okay, I have it here. Okay, got it. So can you all see it?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, very good. So I guess we're going to follow up the same pattern as the breakouts. 5 minutes. No, let's do 10 minutes. No, I'm kidding. Okay, I will try to be brief. So first, those of you that don't know GeoSolutions, as Daniel said, we have the greatest people that work on GeoServer, GeoNode. They're really the main core contributors. GeoSolutions has been since 2016 in the market, but we opened the office in 2020 with me. And we participate in OGC working groups. We really believe in open standards, and that's how I met them, because 6 years ago, the OGC Innovation Program, which I was leading, the sponsor said, we want GeoServer and we want open source. So I had to engage and actually go through a lot of companies to see who was interested in participating, because sometimes people don't want to. And it's, I mean, it's easy funding really, and it's good to participate. So that's how I met them. So what I want to talk is first a little bit about the architecture, how we envision, how we create a health spatial data infrastructure, and then talk about the application. So first, to create a map like this, which this is a risk index, we need a lot of very complex workflows. We need data that comes from different places. If we want to put all the data from COVID, for example, a map, we need to integrate data from a lot of states. This is easy data, but still it requires some integration of data. Now, the trick here always, since I have still my all years in OGC, I try to push for how easy is that interaction? Is it vendor specific? Do you use open standards? How easy it is to plug in a new component, a new client, a new source? And I strongly believe in the concept of spatial data infrastructure, the concept of web services, of clients and catalogs that you can discover where is the data, where are the services that I need, and also be able to interact with the web services. And as much automatically we can do this, it will be great, because we don't want human interaction. In the case of a pandemic, is we can switch a button, boom, and the data starts flowing. I mean, that's ideal.
Should we be seeing covidtrackingmap.com, or should we be seeing a slide deck?
You see.
And now we see the PowerPoint presentation.
And so I was all happy. Okay, let's see what I now. Okay, let me continue. Thank you. So so this is how I envision a spatial data infrastructure. These are the main components. So yeah, now I need to look this way. These are the main components. So we have a client here, we have a web server, we have geospatial databases, we have processes that do a lot of query optimization for the raw data authentication. This is typically your architecture with the main pieces. And the open source stack that we support, and one of the most famous ones are, you know, web server, GeoServer, and database PostGIS, of course. And then we have two clients, which is GeoNode and MapStore. GeoNode also has a little bit of GeoServer and PostGIS, but I will say GeoNode front end in this side. But this is how I would like to look when I see systems. Is there is like an architecture like this, and it's not bundled somewhere that you don't know where's happening, you know, the data processes and so forth. Now I'm going to talk about MapStore. So MapStore is just WebGIS, like other WebGIS. The difference is we're open source, and we have cool functionality. I'm not going to show a lot of it, but for example, you can create some dashboards, you can create some stories, and this is not developed by us, it's developed by somebody in Costa Rica. This is also developed by somebody in Bosnia and Herzegovina. They used MapStore, and they used the time slider capability to see how COVID was changing in their country. So and they did it, it's open source, and we're happy to see this going on around the world. These are just two examples. Now going back to the architecture, so we want to develop a client, and ideally we want to talk to a web service, maybe a US web service for COVID or health data that is able to get data from the States and the States from the country, following this Matrushka ball, idea for distributed web service. But this is not happening. Makes me very sad. And we had to go to a data aggregator Ruse efforts, which is this COVID tracking project, which has been really good. They get all the data from US only, and they have a very nice data API, which the current state data, historic state information, very nice, very reliable. They have a lot of quality checks, which we like, a lot of metadata related to that. And we created this baby. So, and I will show a link. Actually, I can share this link if you want to see it now. Copy. So you can take a look at this while I talk. So we created this as a, let's say, proof of concept that about MapStore, and also to create a nice map for these guys. And you can see, there's some functionality here that you can pick 3 variables, and you can see the data from 3 variables. You can search for a place in the US. You can compare whatever 3 variables you select. But what I want to talk more is behind the scenes, which I found interesting, because I was always in the OGC side talking about standards, but never at the side of creating production systems. And we said, okay, let's put it in Amazon. We put this in an Amazon S3 bucket. So those of you that know a little bit about cloud, this is not like getting a virtual machine. It's just an S3, very low cost. We have a Geo server, which is the one that we use for GeoNode and others to use basemap. So we configure the basemap and simple styles. And then we interact via this simple API with the COVID tracking project. And we put CloudFront content delivery CDN. And you can see, if you are not familiar, this is one of the tips. This is important because it caches a lot of the stuff. So if you look at the request, for example, it says here, CloudFront, cache control, public, and it provides information about the cache. So it caches the images, the scripts, the JavaScript, all that stuff. So the next time somebody hits this application, then it's super fast. If you have, we're having like 1,000 average requests, which is unique visitors or per day, and it's been like no problem. But if you have like a lot more, this is really important that you do this content delivery network. And the cost, oh my, it's like ridiculous. We have not spent $5 since April in Amazon S3 and the content delivery network. It's very cheap. So those were like my 2 main messages about simple APIs, follow an architecture. This is an example of putting in Amazon, very reliable cloud, in S3, using this cache system, and it's open source. So also this project, so we have it's called MapStore COVID US. I will share also this, and you can reuse it for any purpose if you want. And that's it.
Cool.
Try to be brief, so hopefully I did it like in 5-ish minutes.
Yeah, that's awesome. In case you all didn't see in the chat, Louise posted a link, a couple links there to the application. But did anyone have any questions? Looks like we have 1 question so far that came in, asking how comparable are COVID data across the world?
Yeah, so we look at that, and actually this was done like by a country basis. So we saw like a lot of countries were like leaders in that country trying to aggregate the data from different municipalities, states, whatever it is, and they created an own map for the country. So this was more like a country basis. The World Health Organization, they have this big map of the status of the world, right? WHO. But we saw a lot of people using a lot of JSON, and they were sharing a lot of JSON. That was like a common format. But these guys did a great job. I will say they put the process, they have documented the API, what to expect. They put all in GitHub, and then people review it. I mean, they did a pretty good job. They also have the application in Amazon using CloudFront, so it's very consistent. We haven't seen any issues with accessing this API. So today, I think we can rely on external services. I'm pretty confident about this with the technology that we have.
That's awesome. I know how important getting, I mean, just accessing data right now is. It's like #1 priority.
Yeah.
Were there any other questions? All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.